I'm Martin Nafukho, and I've worked as an OT for the last 22 years in western part of Kenya in East Africa. Half of this period, I've had an opportunity to work alongside my global neighbors who came as volunteers to share their culture and skills to one of the 42 cultures of Kenya that represent 42 tribes and 42 languages. Mumias is just a few miles north of the equator near Lake Victoria. It is a very rich agricultural region with temperatures ranging from 25 to 30 degrees. It's very shiny and we grow a lot of sugarcane. Mumias EARC is one of the 42 main centers in the Department of Special Education responsible for assessment, screening, rehabilitation, and placement for children with disabilities. In addition, we are involved in creating social support programs, awareness, and general counseling services to families affected by disability. Our key aim is to help children with disabilities access appropriate rehabilitation and education. 4.6% of the 41 million people in Kenya population survey 2008 live with disability, and Mumias EARC is one of 41 such centers, usually with the lean staff of 1 or 2 assessment officers responsible for specific identification for purposes of education. While Kenya has training programs for almost all health workers and special needs teachers, it has never been privileged to develop a program for speech and language for 46 years after independence. This means communication disorder, which is usually a hidden disability, has had a big toll on Kenyan population. An act of omission, I don't know. But one thing I know, the Kenyan population are affected as much with this hidden condition as anybody else in the world. And malaria that affects the brain is the leading cause of communication disabilities in western part of Kenya. Our key aim has been to intervene as early as possible to find children affected with this disability and help them access appropriate rehabilitation and education. This omission of SLP services in Kenya has greatly affected our wholesome approach to rehabilitation of children with disabilities, and is the main reason we looked beyond our border to look for volunteers to help meet this gap. Opening up and owning up as a team that will not ignore the plight of a part of the population having communication disability then opened for us a way to seek and encourage short-term volunteering in Western Kenya. This has set us apart from other regions, and we have been surprised by the response we have received by clients calling on us and reaching us from other parts of the country. SLP services and ideas that help the general population who cannot access expensive but scarce SLP services in Nairobi and Mombasa. It is with this in mind that since 2009, we have had to host very many volunteers who have given us excellent service. Why do we use and encourage volunteers? It is because we believe in shared knowledge and want to allow them to have a global perspective of professional practice. We want to fill the gap of SLP or any other professional to complete the puzzle of what we prefer to call wholesome care. Drawing an example from natural laws of nature, I believe there are enough SLPs and other professionals in the world to fill the gaps in the world if only we could, as charged particles, flow naturally to areas of less charge and meet the demands of humanity as one family, laying aside the physical factors that set us apart. There are a lot of nice things one can learn if one learned to work with the people in their community. Here you see me assessing a child with disability in their own home. There is no expert model for pioneers. Any step could be the last step, the right step, or even the first step. Chris Merkley, a speech and language pathologist and a friend of mine who lives in Syracuse, will not mind me using him as an example of how volunteering skills can help change the perceptions of the way things happen, even defying cultural expectations in order to come up with a plan that works anywhere where things look very difficult. Chris came to us and lived with us for 6 months, and those 6 months he used his expertise knowledge to look at things differently, in spite of the fact that many Kenyans or people in Western Kenya would have expected him to fix some speech to their children or even on themselves. But he learned to let us know that learning to communicate can happen in any way, even if you do not have the power of speech. As he interacted with the children on the school compound, with the deaf children on the school compound, he learned that they could make noises. He learned that they could reach out to each other by making some kind of noise, whether it be just an ah, whether it will just be an eh, whether it will just be a ba. And he learned to teach these children, and he also taught the teachers how to teach these children to use the little sounds they could make in order to reach out to the others. And this has changed the way new children and old children interact in the school compound. Until we learned from a volunteer speech and language pathologist, these were some of the requirements and handicaps that existed in one of our very model special school in Kenya. That teachers had to be sign language specialists to be able to teach there. That someone had to get in front of someone to be heard, even though they had the power of voicing something, even if it did not make a sound. And children were the most affected because even though they communicated very well with their fellow children at school and their teachers, immediately they left the school compound, their world became a silent world because whatever signs they would make, they were not eligible to the community in which they lived. So they had to stay silent until they got someone, maybe a colleague of theirs at school, to be able to communicate with. I can say authoritatively here that this kind of scenario has changed. Of course, change does not come unless we have an expert, someone who knows how something happens, helping us and leading us in the way that we ought to go. It did not take us long to learn that as much as children can be so adept at having good communication between themselves at school and their teachers. They needed to reach out to their parents, to their community, to their friends who are not in their school, to be able to communicate and get their needs met and meet other friends' needs. And that is how we have managed to get everybody on board. And as at now, we have parents, service providers being given basic sign language techniques and total communication techniques to be able to communicate or to meet the needs of a person with a hearing impairment without having to go through the situations we used to be in. Kenyans never say no to any suggestion, whether wrong or right. If you do the right thing, they will stick with you. If you are doing the wrong thing, or they don't like what you are doing, they'll walk away and you might never see them again. That's culture. Let me use this example to explain this slide. One day, one of our new volunteers was really upset by the kind of care and plan we had for a child who came to us with a stuttering problem. The child was a 12-year-old girl who had been brought by the mother after she had run away from school 6 years ago on day one, because on the day she reported, the teacher and other children all laughed at her and the way she tried to speak. Our plan, of course, was, as an occupational therapist and assessment teachers, we sent her back to the school and talked to the school. Of course, someone will say that's not enough, especially an expert like a communication specialist. But tell me, if Mr. Elephant asked Mr. Hare to help him build a house while he was away on a safari, what kind of house should Mr. Elephant expect from Mr. Hare if he comes back from his safari? Of course, the house will just be as big enough for Mr. Hare, and Mr. Hare will expect that Mr. Elephant should have known better to ask him build a house, because the only houses he knows how to build are houses that belong to hares underground. Let me conclude by saying that as we are here, I believe when you went to train for whatever you are trained in, you do not know whom you will serve in this world. Let me also hope that you will not be disappointed when you get to another place that you want to do something and you don't just get it on course. This is life, and the only way to know life is to do your bit and exit the world. Somebody else will add on to it, and by the end of it, whatever you wanted to achieve in life may be achieved. I thank you all for trying so hard to listen to me, but I'm confident that this being a multicultural exchange program, the rules of grammar do not apply to those who use English as their fourth language.